2024 has definitely been a year for films. Some good, some some bad. I personally didn't go see every film that was released in 2024. I decided to make a list of my favorite and least favorite films of the year 2024. Now that we are in 2025, or at least at the time I'm recording this video, since the slate of films for this year was, or 2024, I should say, was not as good or not as voluptuous as other years. A lot of theaters around me, let's say, did a lot of re-releases of old movies. Like a specific night of the week, they would do an old movie playback. There was just a lot of re-releases in 2024 in general, like the Tenant re-release in the early year, Interstellar later in the year. Overall, I had a better time watching movies that I had not seen in the big screen before than I did probably all the movies I saw that came out in 2024. But enough jib-jab, let's get to it. I'll start this video with my top 5 favorite movies of 2024. Then I'll make a video separate of my least favorite movies of 2024. And then last, I'll make a video of what movies I'm looking forward to in the year of 2025. So let's get this going. Before I get to my official top 5, I wanted to have 2 honorable mentions on my favorite list. The first is The Dead Don't Hurt, the Viggo Mortensen directed film, a Civil War era western, where Viggo's character is married to a lady, and he wants to go off and fight in the Civil War for the Union. And he comes back, and some things have happened with his wife. I don't want to say what goes on in the movie. It's non-linear storytelling. I enjoyed it very much. I thought it was well directed. I thought it looked great. I thought it sounded great. The performances were fun. So I had a good time with it, and I bought it recently on Blu-ray. I have yet to rewatch it, but I plan to. My other honorable mention is Dune Part 2. Now, that might be controversial because I know it's a lot of people's top 5 or favorite movie of the year. And I'm not saying that it shouldn't be. This list, by the way, is all subjective, to my opinion. Dune was a great time in the theater. I saw it a couple times in film, 70mm film, and then I saw it once in digital, and I had a phenomenal time, and there was some really great stuff in that. Some of my favorite parts in the movie are the Harkonnen stuff on their planet. The stuff filmed in photo negative was really cool. It was really striking. That last action sequence at the end was really good, albeit shorter than I expected or wanted. The only big negative I can talk about in the movie is Zendaya's character Chani. The way she's kind of just played is and the way the character is written is because they steered so much away from the book at the end, which even I, who had not read the book before, felt like something was off and a little irritating with that ending. So that's all I'll give is honorable mention for Dune 2, and I honestly like Part 1 more than Part 2. Now, let's get to our top 5. At the number 5 spot is A Dark Horse. I did not expect to see this movie, and when I did decide to go see it, off of a red hair, I did not expect to like this film, because the marketing was some of the worst marketing I have seen for a film. And this film is Transformers 1. Yes, I am a bit of a Transformers fan, so maybe there's some bias in this pick of it being my number 5. But the marketing for this movie, the trailers were terrible. It looks like some cringe 2024 Disney comedy movie that was going to be absolute trash with just Gen Z jokes the whole time. But ironically, it was really good. It told an amazing origin story for Optimus and Megatron. And about halfway through the movie, it takes a dark turn. And it becomes quite a serious movie, especially for a kind of a kid's movie. I'd say it's a movie for everyone. And I had a phenomenal time, even though I would prefer maybe some different voice actors for some of the characters. I still enjoyed the cast overall. Alita 1 and B-127 were my least favorites, Bumblebee and Alita 1, Scarlett Johansson and Keegan-Michael Key's character. But Optimus and Megatron just stole the movie for me, and Sentinel Prime and just the lore of it. It was very loving to Transformer fans, and then also engaging for a normie audience member who is not into the Transformers storyline. Did not do well at the box office, unfortunately, so we probably will never see a Transformers 2. But if they do, I would love to see it because what they've established so far is great. Transformers 1 on my number 5. Now, on to number 4. There are two movies on this list that came out in December, and I had to go see these movies before making my list, so I feel comfortable now with this. And my number 4 for this year is Nosferatu. I am a big Robert Eggers fan. I love his movies. I don't think he's missed so far with his movies. My least favorite is The Northman, I have to say, and my favorite is The Lighthouse. And The Lighthouse is actually one of my favorite movies of all time in general, not just Robert Eggers. But I do have to say, I really did like Nosferatu. I am not a big horror fan. I am not a big vampire fan. I'm not a big goth fan. But I thought the movie was so well done. Some of these shots are so striking in the movie. I thought Bill Skarsgård as Nosferatu was really cool. I thought you didn't even tell it was him until, unless you knew beforehand or saw the credits. He really transformed himself. His voice was so good. The effects that they did on his walking and his voice, and just the fear that the whole cast was so good. It was perfectly cast. I adored the movie. It was really dark and creepy, and it was a good time. I enjoyed it, and ironically, it's a good versus evil story, and evil takes its toll, but good wins in the end, and I highly recommend checking out Nosferatu. Number 3 is the other December movie I just mentioned for my number 4. Number 3 is A Complete Unknown. James Mangold, I loved Ford v Ferrari. I loved Logan. I hated, with every fiber of my being, Indiana Jones and the Dial of Destiny. But it looks like he's back on track because A Complete Unknown, I really liked it a lot. It was so good. I'm not even a big Bob Dylan fan. I mean, his music's good and I'll listen to it if it's on the radio or something. But I don't go out of my way to be like, okay, I gotta pop on some Bob Dylan, right? But the movie was so well made. It's a small span of his life and his career, but you really got to enjoy those moments. And you got to enjoy a little bit of history, too, because you see, like, the Cuban Missile Crisis going on. You see Vietnam War, and some of these things, Dylan was, he didn't fight in the war, but he was a part of the effort to end the war, and JFK and all that stuff. And I thought it was really good. Other artists like Johnny Cash are in there too, so you get to see, a little bit of the music industry. I thought Timothy Chalamet, I did not like him as an actor for the longest time. Then he sold me with Dune Part 2, and now even more he sold me with A Complete Unknown. I really enjoyed the movie. I like music in general and music biopics. This is up there as one of the really good ones, so I highly recommend checking it out if you haven't already, especially if you're a Dylan fan. I mean, what are you doing? You've probably already seen it. Go see it again. My number 2 is a movie that came out earlier this year. It was a smaller British film. It had Sir Anthony Hopkins in it. It's based on a true story called One Life. It's about a man who saved, I think it was like 700 children out of Germany before they started doing the thing to those people. I'm not going to say it because YouTube. It was very well made. It was telling him as an older gentleman going through like his memories, and then another actor played his younger self. I have a review on my channel if you want to check it out. I thought it was so well made and heartbreaking and heartwarming and endearing, and gives you hope and humanity that there is some hope out there, that there are some good people and who will do the right thing when push comes to shove. And that's what this movie was about. And he didn't want any recognition for it. And then when he does get the recognition near the end of his life, it's like, it's awesome. And he gets to see these kids again, and they're all grown up, and it was very well made. I highly recommend checking it out. It's a good one to feel a little bit of humanity in such weird, strange times that we live in, I think. One Life, my number 2. And last but not Beethoven, that leaves my number 1 of the year. Now, like I said, I have not seen every movie this year. In fact, I have not seen many of the 2024 releases, just because none of them either interested me or they genuinely looked terrible, and they actually were terrible, and I just refused to waste my time. I went to go see, like I said, a lot of older releases, re-released again. But regardless, my number 1 movie of 2024 is another small film. It's an Irish film. It's got the winner of the Best Actor in the Oscars last year from Oppenheimer. Cillian Murphy, who is in Small Things Like These. Now, it's not a true story per se, but it is based on true things that happened. These Mary Magdalene schools where girls would be kind of forced to go to if they had children out of wedlock or got pregnant out of wedlock or were just addicted to drugs, alcohol, didn't care, didn't want to get help, so their parents kind of forced them here. But there was some darkness to these places, and this movie kind of sheds light on that, following Cillian Murphy, who's a father of 4 or 5 girls, married in Ireland, and he's just a coaler. He owns a coal company who delivers coal, and he's delivering coal to one of those Magdalene schools one night, and there is a pregnant girl in the coal room, in the cold, the freezing cold, and because she was being punished. And it was very tense. The actors, but especially Cillian, it did such a good job. He just is so good at acting with his eyes. It kind of sounds ridiculous, but it's 100% truth for acting, especially in film, is you have to use your whole face, especially your eyes, to convey things. And he is just so good at that. And this movie was really well made. It was well paced. It really gave you the sense of this guy's life and then the unraveling of what should he do to fix this issue that he feels like he can fix himself, and he feels like it's his responsibility. I had a great time with the movie. I do highly recommend it. It's my favorite movie of the year, and it's looking like it's getting really not any recognition, unfortunately. But it is what it is, you know. It's just funny. My 2 favorite movies of this year and last year are Cillian Murphy movies. So we'll see if he's in anything next year, 28 years later, maybe. Anyway, regardless of that, this has been my list of my favorite movies of 2024. If you enjoyed this list and you enjoyed my video, please leave a like, comment down below what your favorite movies of 2024 were. Be sure to keep an eye out for my least favorite movies of 2024 coming out soon. And yeah, thanks for listening. Let's hope to have a better year in 2025 and go love your family, love your neighbors as you would want to be loved yourself. And thank you, and we'll see you next time here in the Junkyard.